This is RTP. This is RTP180.
Hello, hello, hello. I hope you've had lots of beer and everything is good and you've tasted the samples, and so I can't lose, right? Really glad to be here and honored to be here. I'm going to share with you some information that is near and dear to my heart, and it's about the status of women in North Carolina. How many of you are transplants to North Carolina? Let me see a show of hands. Okay, that means you really love North Carolina. You've chosen to be here, right? So, one of the things, let's go back to that other slide that we had showing the superheroes. North Carolina is full of women. First of all, we are the majority in North Carolina. Let's hear it for the women majority. So we're full of superheroes as well. I wanted to give a shout out to these superheroes, not because I'm in the picture, you see me in the blue, right? But because these are women who are beautiful, but they're also working to save lives. They are working in Lumberton, North Carolina, with the Southeast Family Violence Prevention Center. And they are doing a phenomenal job. I wanted to share them with you, though, because I want you to see that North Carolina is full of many different kinds of women, all working hard and deserving the best possible place to live and thrive, right? So let's talk more about what that looks like for North Carolina. So I'm here to talk to you about a research report that the North Carolina Council for Women published this year on the status of women health and wellness. Most of you don't know that North Carolina overall rates a D. Next slide. When we're talking about the status of women in North Carolina, we're talking about lots of room for improvement. The study was commissioned by the Council for Women, and it was compiled by the Institute for Women's Policy Research, which does these reports for states all across the country, including the District of Columbia. And we are publishing a series of reports using various sources of information. And so this information, I'm going to give you just a snippet of it, but our full report is on our website. You can see CDC, public health, the overall status of women reports. Those are some of the sources used for this report. Let's look at some of the results. Well, how are we doing? I told you, not too well. There are areas since our last report where we have made progress. We're rating in the middle or the bottom on indicators of health and wellness when compared to other states. Lots of room for improvement there. We are making some progress in terms of overall heart disease mortality. We're now rating a 27th in heart disease mortality and a 29th for breast cancer mortality. So that's good news, bad news. But let's talk about this even further as we look at our next slide. What we see is that when we know that North Carolina has a range of beautiful women of all ethnicities, who do you think has the highest mortality rate in North Carolina? So, is it the beautiful Native American sister with the glasses who's looking so intent? How many, a show of hand, think it's a Native American? No? Okay, 2. Is it the African American or black woman who's sitting there, both of them looking intent? How many? Okay. All right. You're right. It is our African American population of women in North Carolina who have the highest mortality rates in terms of heart disease, in terms of stroke, in terms of cancer overall. Next slide. That statistic alone, I have to tell you, hurt my heart. And it gives me pause, which I hope it does for you as well. When we look at the overall health and wellness of women in North Carolina, we can't avoid looking at the impact of intimate partner violence. We have to understand that that is an aspect of women's overall health. Right now, over 30% of women in North Carolina will experience or have experienced intimate partner violence or sexual violence in their lifetime. That's a range from physical violence to rape to sexual assault to stalking. We hear a lot about various movements that are working to raise awareness of this issue, but we need to think about the impact of our own sisters right here in North Carolina. This is a serious disease. Next slide. Okay, so I've given you just some highlights of the challenges we face. What can you do about it? The report includes recommendations for changes, policy level changes. We're talking about make access to health services more readily available across the state. Your health should not matter, where you live should not impact your health. It does right now. If you live in rural North Carolina, you have a higher mortality rate. So we need to close the insurance gap, make access to health care more readily available. Economic security is an impact as well for women's overall health. When we look at rural areas, hospitals are closing. We need to change that. You need to understand how you can do that with your vote. And also, as I talked about, the rate of sexual violence, intimate partner violence, and I showed you the beautiful women who are working as superheroes. There are 106 domestic violence centers in our state. They are underfunded. They need support. So understand what's needed. And also understand for your own health. Take a mother, a grandmother to the doctor. Understand these statistics, learn more, and get involved. All of us like these rubber bands that we get when we do various charities, whether it's walking the Heart Walk or getting involved in breast cancer awareness. For yourself, do what you need to do in order to be healthy. And then know your numbers, right? Know your body. And find out more so that we can make the vision we have for North Carolina true. That is that North Carolina will be the place where women thrive and live their best lives. Thank you.